here, because everyone here is an ambassador, I believe, you're probably seeing things starting to work a little bit better. It's going to be quicker than you've ever imagined, streamlined. I honestly can't wait for everyone to see what's coming, of what's already been developed, but it's sitting in the sandbox for the integration to be done. For everybody that has a problem with languages and not having the website in their language, oh, don't worry, it's coming.
Okay.
And even more cool than that.
I would help you, but I'm going to pick up my boyfriend from taking his truck to get fixed. So
of course, we have to put Nicole on mute. Nicole, you're muted. Oh, you're going to be muted. Banned.
I'm sorry.
No,
hey,
don't put yourself on. You're
wait.
Banned. I love that. This is like having my own talk show. It's like, banned.
One day, make it very expensive. One day.
Headed back to the beach. I'm headed back to the beach to pick up the camper, and this lady was broke down. So I stopped just to make sure she was okay.
So you took the time to announce that to everyone here? I just want to make sure.
I'm sorry, Clayton. I will mute myself right now.
No, it's okay. What we'll do is Harry's going to make you some tea, and he's going to freeze it and put it in a Ziploc bag. You have to now drink that when it arrives.
I'll think about that. I will dump it on my plate, just like I do my own.
Yeah, it could be great. It's a special concoction I'll have him make just for you. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, I don't think she knows what she's getting into.
No. Ooh, I'll mute myself.
So you guys can mute yourself. If you have the ability to stay quiet, and you can raise your hand if you have a question, but we'll go through a couple things here real quick. I don't care who you are. That was funny. But the web integration is being done. Yeah, I'm thankful for everyone's patience through this, but I will tell you it's going to be well worth it for what's in place, how everything's going to function, that we won't have the hiccups or the changes, and especially for what's coming from a developmental standpoint. But the website, with what's sitting in the sandbox right now that we're waiting to roll out once all the integration is done, like I was mentioning, if you're in one of our 60 or so countries, who is that? Banned. Let me see here. That's probably Linda, so we'll mute her too. There we go. Everyone's muted themselves, almost like we're responsible adults that might be using 0N. Who knows? It's funny how things get done when you do that. Uh-oh. Frank, banned. Gone. Okay, so we got that out of the way too. So he's not there. I'm speaking. Hopefully everyone can see me. But the new site will convert into virtually every language when you select your language. But even more cool than that, when this is rolled out, you can click on text and it will talk to you in your language and read the text to you. Epic. It's really cool. So some of the fun little treats that are coming. But since this is my chance to rant a little bit, I want to go over the conversation pieces for people to have, because I put a post on my Facebook page last week, and we're getting to the point where we're actually beyond contention for what the Trinity does. And on Tuesday of last week, Dory outlined one of the first case studies on with Tommy's scenario with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And the cool part is we don't have to make medical claims. Now you can just show it. So the video should be posted here. I'm going to confirm with Dory over the next today. So I'll probably have it today. We'll get it on the YouTube channel. And we're going to distribute the write-up. I'm not sure if they're going to elect to have it published or just use the case study. I have to confirm that from Christina. But what's important to understand is, much like in the movie The Matrix, and I'm going to be doing a bunch of videos on this because I don't think people really understand the premise of what's happening. But there is a scene in The Matrix where Neo, the one, which we will call Dr. Ram. Oh, it's true, the one. Oh, yeah. So where he was going to see the Oracle, and kind of like Nicola, right? Where you go to get a reading. And he was sitting with a kid, and the kid was playing with the spoon and bending the spoon. And he gave Neo the spoon and explained to him that you'll eventually realize that there is no spoon. And this is what's important. So many people have conversations about issues. You want to talk about a health condition, and people want to ask questions about a health condition, and will clean slate, will zero in, will restore, help with this issue, this other issue, this disease, this disorder, this syndrome. And just like the Matrix, here's what you can explain to people to simplify this entire process. There is no disease. There are no syndromes, and there are no disorders. It doesn't matter. Because when you really look at the construct, what is a diagnosis? A diagnosis is a title that's given for a bunch of symptoms that the cause we know. It's environmental, so stress, environmental, lifestyle. Those factors are what cause the symptoms that cause a diagnosis to be provided. And why is there a diagnosis? It's so they can prescribe a treatment that you will abide by because you then have a diagnosis. So the key, we don't play in that space. We don't want to. What we're going to do is begin to publish and share a lot of case studies to our point, which is there is no issue. All we are is polluted. We are toxic, right? Systemically from conception. So as has been discussed with some of the training that we've been doing with Larry and Taylor, and it's important for everyone to really understand that clean slate is not a detox product. It's not. It's way more than anything in that capacity. So it is supporting your body to clean itself, right? And as Taylor's done such a phenomenal job, and Christina is explains really, really well now, is you can ask people when you're talking to your friends or you're sharing with your community and talking about clean slate or talking about the Trinity, and they're like, well, why would I do this? How often do you brush your teeth? Once a day, twice a day, hopefully twice, right? But if you're brushing your teeth, you're doing that because you know you need to clean your teeth and you want to clean your mouth. And if you take the trash out of your house, how often do you do that? How often do you clean your house? How often do you clean your bedroom? Consistently. How often do you clean your operating system, right? Your body, this biological computer that we are. People don't. This is your opportunity to start doing it well. It's that simple. It's using the analogies that people can understand. Not, oh, this is the best heavy metal detox ever. People don't understand what that means. And other people that have gone through other steps trying to get well because they've been diagnosed with something, if you're here, you know that nothing works like Clean Slate does. So don't talk about it in a manner that everyone else is talking, because you're actually doing yourself a disservice by putting yourself in the same box that everyone else is in. So what does the Trinity do? Right? What things would you want to talk about with someone? Great. You know what Dr. Stefan Rao proved 2 weeks ago, and it's on YouTube. Using these products make you younger every day. Harry's here. Dude, make me some tea, but send it to Nicole. She earned it. I love the shirt and the yoga pad. And the shirt matches the yoga pad. Love it. But and just so you know, I follow all of you guys on social media. I'm like psycho stalker because I like to see cool stuff. But Harry, don't ever post that picture of that tea again, whatever you made. That stuff was horrific. Don't do it. Alfred had trauma. It was terrible. But you have to think of what people want, especially in today's world. You want less stress? Yeah. Well, what kind of stress? Is it environmental stress? Is it emotional stress? Is it physical stress? Is it spiritual stress? Of course it is. Which ones do we address? All of them. Does someone need to know how that works? No, they don't care. They just want to know that, hey, what you're using, you look different. You say you're feeling different. How can I feel the same way? And that could be through 1, 2, or 3 products. Ideally, what we know, and this is not a sales pitch, right? I get asked this so many times from people of, well, which product should I use? The answer is Trinity. It's use all 3 because they all work synergistically together. And if someone asks you, well, why all 3? Because there's no silver bullet. There is no one thing that is going to take care of everything. It's not possible. You can't do it. So that's why you do all 3. If someone needs something to start with, they're like, well, I don't know, then have the conversation and pick which way do you want to go, because which one would you start with if someone needed one thing? Everybody's different. Do you say, wow, you got to start with Clean Slate? Well, we know that if you want the foundation, absolutely. But somebody might say, hey, I want more of a pick-me-up. I got brain fog, I'm stressed out. Great, 0N is going to be ideal. Or like, you know what? I need something because my digestion isn't very good, or my stomach doesn't feel very good, or I want something really simple that I can try that'll hit me really quick. Well, have them try Restore. Just don't do what Harry did and take the whole box in one day. I mean, because the core principles are the synergy of everything working together, but we know that each one is so impactful on their own that you can give people the opportunity to try something first and then have an experience and then integrate the other 2, or start with 2 and then add 1. But the biggest thing is, yes, the root recognitions website is coming back. We are working with our domain name provider to get proper account access. It should be done today or tomorrow at the latest. It's been a hassle. Lori, I'll hit on that in a second. So I'll answer. It's a good question. There's some stuff that'll come up on the Humic and Fulvic conversation, so I'll hit on that. But the big part is keep things as simple as possible. What does the Trinity do? And Dr. Rao proved this. It makes you younger. Let me make sure I rephrase that properly. Using these 3 products makes you biologically younger. Do you know anyone who's aging in years that wants to look, feel, and function younger? I think everyone does. Do you want your brain to function like it did before it was all cloudy? Do you want your body to function 10, 15, 20 years younger? And people go, well, how do you prove that? Great. Let me send you a link real quick. You can watch it. Watch a video, watch an interview with Dr. Stefan Rao. Oh, who's he? I don't know. He's a PhD. He's a virologist, an immunologist, a medical technologist, an author, really cool guy. And he's done a bunch of research and shown what this stuff does. And oh, by the way, if you're talking about the scene or you want to talk about the COVID, there are some interesting details in there too that might pertain to you. No, Branson doesn't yet, but somebody needs to reach out to him because he's cool and he will feel like he's 40 and he would make one heck of an ambassador, because clean slate would be amazing in space. And you know what would be really cool is if we put Harry into space and then he did urine therapy on the entire planet. Just drip, 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 drip. We aerosol it like they do chemtrails. That would be hilarious. And what we'll do is, because of the Euro final results, is you can take some of that tea concoction and you can spread it over Italy. But the big thing is just figure out for yourself how to simplify your conversations with people to talk about what they want, not what you want to say, right? Just make things really simple. This combination of products will make you younger. It will make you less stressed. It's proven. Who doesn't want less stress right now? For $200 a month, or we'll say $270 plus tax and shipping, depending, because a lot of people are going through 2 boxes of Restore instead of 1. I'm included in that. Christina and I use 2 to 3 sachets of Restore a day, and for a reason. It's freaking phenomenal. And Christina needs 3 sachets a day because of her Lyme history and cancer history. Her body really, really needs the 3 sachets, because what she found initially is her body went into hyperdrive and healing mode and the cytokine storm that comes from it. But it's good stuff. What's up? Harry's companion is hanging out with us too. It's good times. But you get to play with it. If your stress relief is worth $7 a day, right? Why is it not worth the effort? I mean, that's here in the United States, that's a Starbucks cup of coffee. And it's terrible coffee. So the outcomes far outweigh, and this is the key thing, right? We know the value proposition that is here. You can put these products in someone's hands. You know it's not going to fail.
Vou aqui assistir a apresentação do inglês. Tá bem, tá bem.
No, say that again.
Vai, até logo, então.
Oh, I got to mute you. You got to go. He wasn't talking to us. He was talking to someone else. Selfish. Banned. So focus on the things that are prevalent today, but do it in a manner that's different, right? Because people spend so much time talking about problems, right? Is there graphene in vaccines? Is there COVID Delta variants? When the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot variant comes out for COVID, call me. I'll be there to party. But people want to talk about all these issues. They want to talk about their health conditions. None of this stuff matters, right? What you want to focus on is what's creating good, because that's what people really want. They've been taught to create fear. They've been taught to fear a diagnosis. I was watching a thing on ESPN this morning about a baseball player that had colon cancer, and he went through chemotherapy. I'm like, I'm writing his name down so we can get a hold of him. But Roger, banned. So the key is don't buy into the behavior that the sheep are going in, right? And here's another philosophy for you guys to think about. I'm actually going to do some videos on this because we have a new platform that we're creating right now that is going to allow me to be unhinged. It's going to be great because we won't have to worry about being filtered and all the stuff and getting things taken down. But many people talk about being awake. Do you know what happens when you take a sheep out of the pen? Because that's really what's happening right now, is usually a sheep will get out at night, right? Because during the day, the sheepdogs and the shepherd are making sure everybody's safe, everybody's protected. So sheep try to get out at night. So when a sheep gets out of the pen, are they free and are they awake? No. Because one of my favorite movies of all time has one of the greatest lines ever. And this is what's important to understand, is Al Pacino says it so phenomenally, that in the Bible, they talk about when you're awakened or when you're let loose, it says, behold, I send you out amongst the sheep, or as a sheep amongst the wolves. So people today that think they're becoming awake, they're not really awake yet. They're getting out of the pen. So now they're even more prey because they're getting into an environment that's foreign to them, that they think they need to know more things, health and wellness, what's going on in the world, what's going on in the environment, but they're not properly equipped. What equipment do you need to be most effective, especially in today's world? Well, you have to be protected with the Trinity. Yes, well, we're ISNS. Michaela is going to be doing some stuff with the wheel of fortunate, not fortune. That's a different wheel. But yeah, we're going to be putting some stuff together with that. There's some fun to be had. But when you get out of the box, you have to arm yourself with the Trinity. Why? Because in order to be really awake to what's going on spiritually in this world, what has been inhibiting you emotionally as well as physically, you got to clean up the mess. You got to decalcify the pineal gland. You've got to put yourself in a position where you are becoming better. You don't just get to change your mind to say, oh, well, I think differently now. It doesn't work that way. What do you have to do? You have to clean it. You have to clean up the process. You have to start regenerating. It goes back to this simple component, Control, Alt, Delete. Same thing as a computer, right? You've got to hit 3 things. Funny that there's 3 to get this done. And you don't do one and then let go of it and then do another and then let go of it and then do a third one and let go of it. No, you have to do all 3 simultaneously to get that reset. Our body's no different. We are the largest biological computer. We are a system. We are a network of biological computers is what we are. That's why we need community, right? That's why we all come together and we do more things as a group than we do as individuals. But that's also why there are attempts to create individuals, segment people, social distancing. We're not meant for that. That's how you destroy people. Put a muzzle on and stay away from people. No. So think simply. What do people need? They want to be happy. They want to be healthier. They want to be younger. They want to be less stressed. They want to feel better. Okay, what do you need for that, Trinity? Well, how's it going to work for me? Tell me in a week. What's it going to do for me? I can't tell you. I've never worked with you before. This is something I go over with people constantly. I've been doing this for 16 years. My response is always the same. When someone, and I've probably been able to work, that people I've worked with directly or that have worked through practitioners and other groups I've worked with, there's probably over 100,000 people. Actually, no, more than that now because we got 30,000 here. So probably 150, 200,000 people that I've been able to influence or work through. And the conversation is the same when someone asks the simple question, what's this do for me? I don't know. Here's what it's done for me, but you've never done this before, so there's no way to tell what it's going to do for you. What do we know? You're freaking polluted. And you've not done this before, so are there going to be changes? Absolutely. Do we know what they're going to be? Not a freaking clue. And just be honest, because what does the data show? And this is the fun part. And if you haven't watched the video that Dr. Rao did, with his presentation, don't spend time on Netflix and watch a movie or something. Watch that video. Watch it on YouTube. Understand what he's saying. It makes you younger quickly. Really quickly. So that's the simple conversation to have, to say, look, this isn't complex. What we're doing is insanely complex in process and what Christina's done to create the products. And yes, when you look at the label, they're like, oh, it's really simple. There's only those ingredients. Yeah, the label is not the process. The label is not really what's there. We can't explain how and why. You let those things talk, right? We try not to talk about all the mechanisms that go into the process and, nano emulsions and why she did this and this and this and this. You don't need to look at that. What you have to understand is, okay, do we have enough data to show that the products work? Fairly confident, indisputable. Let me make sure that I make that clear. The results and the outcomes are indisputable. And at the highest levels of performance, I was talking with Christina about this yesterday because I haven't seen it yet and it is done, but with ISNS, so the International Science and Nutrition Society, which everyone can participate in, you can join, but they serve as kind of our research arm. And we had at least 4 Olympic or professional athletes, I don't know the exact number, but I know there was 4 to start with, that have been using the Trinity and have had testing, different types of testing done over the last, I think it's a couple months now, looking at their performance, looking at their recovery, looking at cognitive performance. And what I was told yesterday, Christina's like, look, you have to understand the outcomes have been absolutely crazy of what some of these Olympic athletes are seeing. And yes, she is the Lion Queen. But she's not like Pac. I have Pac behind me. And definitely not like the dude and Jules Winfield, which are 2 of the greatest philosophers ever, which is why they're here. You have Tupac, which they still study at Harvard. But Jules Winfield and the dude in the Big Lebowski, you can't beat philosophically.
Clayton, he means
What?
me.
What?
He means me, not Christina.
Oh, your hair looks amazing, by the way. It's growing like crazy now.
I get the next new small comes everywhere, more new. Next year, he's sitting like this one.
Hey, you know what? I think what I need to do, Justin Timberlake doesn't live very far from us here in Franklin. And I think I might have to go see him so we can reprise Sexy Back. Because everybody that's using the Trinity, they're bringing Sexy back. So we might have to have him reprise the role a little bit, because everybody starts looking so much younger and so much better. And you like to see your skin and your hair, and like Kathy Joe and Dory. And you know what we have to do is we have to, oh shoot, I have to send out the email for that, because we're doing Guys Club tomorrow. Shoot, we gotta do that. But we have to make sure that the men are looking sexier than the women. And I was told, well, I've been told for like a month that I have to lean out again because I've been getting fat because I haven't been working out as much. So I've been taking a couple restore and started doing a little swimming. And I will tell you, you do a little bit of activity and a lot of restore and a bunch of clean slate with zero in, you lean out in a hurry, because I haven't done much work per se on the exercise standpoint, but tweaking your metabolism, it's amazing. Yes. Alfred does look amazing, by the way. I follow him on Facebook and just take a couple minutes every morning just to look at him and go, when I'm older, I could look that amazing. But I digress. Regina, having the interpretation or the translation of that into German, we'll work on that. I got to ask. I got to make sure Roland was all taken care of on that. I'm not sure why we missed him. So let me see what else we got. So athletes, we will be releasing some of the information here really quickly. And because the products are banned substance free already, and what the outcomes are showing, and the cool part is the Olympics are coming up here in a couple weeks. And I know those athletes are on the Trinity. And I know in at least a couple countries, there's going to be some promotions about Root for athletes and performance. So it's kind of cool. But let me go back here through some of the comments or questions. Is that pretty cool for everybody? I mean, don't talk about the problems. Take the different approach. Don't pander to the population. Don't get in a battle with other people. There's no need to. There's the philosophy that a lion does not, bother himself with the opinions of sheep, right? We don't play in the same game that everyone else plays in. Not to sound arrogant, but we can be, because we have the outcomes, we have the science, we have the pegacorn because of what Christina's done, but we don't play in the same pool, right? Everyone, all of these MLM companies, these companies that are selling supplements for different things, could be nootropics, could be the craze over humic and fulvic acid, which I'll touch on real quick. Could be all of this other junk over here. And they can't do what we're doing, because if there was a company that was doing what we're doing, they would have already done it, and they would have already been doing $1 billion a year in business. But they're not. So don't compare yourself, because we're not in the same game. We are actually playing with quantumceuticals. Everyone else is talking about nutritional supplements and how you need to take massive amounts of stuff to get results. We're talking about take one drop of this, take a quarter of a sachet, take a half a sachet, or maybe one sachet, or for some people 2 or 3. It's not massive amounts. And we're seeing quantum shifts in people. So, yeah. Ingrid, I think we have the trademark on it. I have to check with our team, but they're quantumceuticals. They're not nutraceuticals, right? They are quantum. And yeah, Mika, the Tour de France going on right now, could you imagine some of these cyclists using zero in cycling? Because this is the key for elite sports, right? This is what you guys have to understand, is that with elite sports, a 1% difference between two elite athletes is the difference between missing a PK in a European Championship final and becoming the dog of a country, or being so calm and relaxed that you go up, you knock it in the corner of the net, and you're not even bothered by the stage, and you become a legend. But what we're seeing is not 1 or 2% changes. It's much greater than that. And it's in the most important areas of performance. It's mental, it's cognitive. Because when you take the physical out and you begin to dominate this part, you then don't have competition. So we have that. But yeah, I mean, Birgit, like you said, we are making quantumceuticals. And if you want to understand why, it's not physically possible for clean slate to do what it's doing with one drop without it being electrical and beyond, right? Because we're talking one little drop of some fragments, and you see the shifts that are happening in people. It's not possible. So we have that. We have athletes. We'll have that data here out. We know the websites are changing. Like I mentioned, there's going to be a couple tutorial videos that show how to make sure you can withdraw commissions, how you can make sure that your, that your smart ship can be adjusted, that you can tweak it, how you set it up right now. You guys are having too much fun on chat, and I get to look at stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, what am I missing here? It's not fair. So let me see who asked the question. There was a question back here on Lori was asking about humic and fulvic acid and are they synergistic? So when we were humic and fulvic acids are decayed plant matter that is full of different trace minerals, and it's basically compressed dirt that's been in a bog, usually at some point over centuries. And it's loaded with trace minerals. And what, are we recording this? Somebody's recording this because I'm actually going to do a piece on this. But here, we'll get into some of the science of humic and fulvic acids, in my opinion. Granted, I'm not a doctor, but when we were making the addition of trace minerals into clean slate, we looked at every source. And this is what's important. So can humic and fulvic acids be beneficial? Yes, in my opinion, they are phenomenal for soil. If you're growing your own fruits and vegetables, yep, I got you, Sanj. If you're growing your own fruits and vegetables, you should add humics and fulvics into the soil so the plants uptake those minerals and trace minerals. So when you're consuming them, they've been properly chelated into the plant. I personally don't see it as something that should be consumed by people. One of the reasons for that is if they were amazing for human consumption, they would have been done over the last 20 years when they were introduced and when they started to be really studied. And granted, I've only been following them and playing with the stuff for like a decade. And so we kind of know what we're looking at. But here's the big question. When you look at humics and fulvics versus what we did, the human body is made up of water, right? We know that the body is 70 to 90% water, depending upon what you're measuring and what structure it's in, as Michaela has some. But what type of water? Is it like tap water? No. It's full of trace minerals and it's seawater because that's where we come from. We are water. So if that's the case, what source of trace minerals do you want? Well, you'd want them from seawater because that's basically what our body turns them into. Do you need dirt? No. You need trace minerals from the ideal source that our body is accustomed to. So and if you want a really expensive version of this, and you want the simple analogy, there's a product called ketone plasma, and it is a specific type of seawater that is extracted off the coast of France at about 4,000 feet down, that this source of seawater with the trace minerals in it is the same consistency as human blood. You can IV this seawater as blood. So why did we use trace minerals from sea salt? Because of that specific reason. And trace minerals are the operative word. Trace. Small. Not macro. Not massive amounts. Micro. Trace minerals. But if you're looking at mineral supplementation, why are people mostly mineral deficient? Is it because they're not getting a lot of it in their diet? That can be some of the case. But let's really look at the problem. We are polluted. And it's the pollution that blocks our ability to use a lot of the stuff that we're getting. So why does Clean Slate have the trace minerals in it? Because at the same time that we're scavenging and those little green garbage trucks are going in and grabbing all the bad guys, they're also dropping off the good guys. So you're distributing the essential trace minerals into your body while you're removing the bad stuff. So remove the bad, add the good, all at the same time in one product, right? There's not multiple products that do that. It's just one. Exactly. Nicola's right. There's little trucks that show your tracking. We have little green garbage trucks that are going in to grab the trash out of your body and remove it passively. And so that's the big thing. The other part with humics and fulvics is this. You hear companies claim that there's over 70 trace minerals. There's over 70 minerals and such that are in the humic and fulvic acid. Well, there's 59 that are, I think it's 59 that are essential. So my question is, what are the other 11? And let me tell you what my research has shown by reading material from these companies when they've done a little bit of the analysis. Mercury, gadolinium, aluminum, arsenic. There's 4. So the question is, how much of that do you want to add to your life on a daily basis? And you consume it. And here's the other question. All of these sources for products come from the soil. And they come from areas that some of them are interesting. And I can guarantee you that there's not been any remediation done in those areas. So they're just doing an extraction of what they're pulling out of the ground, and then they're processing in a little bit. So here's the question. over the last now 45 years, there's been an introduction of glyphosate for 45 years. And what we've learned from Dr. Don Huber, who's the top researcher on the planet when it comes to glyphosate and being against it. He's been a proponent of its use since 1974 when it was introduced. And here in the United States, which is probably about the same for everywhere else, that here in the United States, only 95% of all the farmland in the United States is loaded with glyphosate. 95% of all of the farmland, all of the grassland in the United States is loaded with glyphosate. Less than 5%, and that's some of the stuff in like South Dakota where their wild bison are roaming in national park lands. So, and what's the problem with glyphosate? It's water soluble. It's not fat soluble. Correct. Birgit is correct. Sulfur and silica. So all of this land is polluted with glyphosate. And glyphosate is water soluble. So what happens? It goes into the groundwater. This is the problem culturally that we're, especially in the United States, that we deal with. There is no clean food. It doesn't exist. We try to do as best we can. There's no such thing as clean food anymore because the soil that we have is already polluted. It's been polluted for 45 years. So if you're pulling something out of the ground, we'll just use clinoptilolate, nature's greatest filter. Why do we process it? Why do we clean out the cage structure? Because we know even with getting one of the pure, well, probably the purest source available on the planet, you still have to process it. So using something that's coming out of the soil that, as Kathy Joe just put in the chat box, which is a fact, that even the freaking rainwater, no matter where you are in the world now, because of the jet streams and everything, are loaded with glyphosate, with barium, with aluminum. You want something that they're pulling out of the ground that they're not even testing for the stuff, but they put on the label or they put on the packaging that it has mercury and aluminum and other toxic metals in it. And at least what I've said, what I've seen is they're like, oh, there's only 12 parts per million of aluminum. Well, that's when we measure for Clean Slate and our products, we measure in parts per billion, not million. And daily exposure to that builds up. So it's not something that you'll see me using. Now, I'm not saying you can't use it, but what I'm saying, in my family, you won't see us use it. And there's a reason that we didn't use it. To make Clean Slate better when we added the trace minerals, because it's insufficient comparatively to the less expensive alternative. So makes you think. Granted, I'm not a doctor. So I've only done this for 40 years. I can remember chipping off the mineral salt block as a kid for the horses and cows. Actually, for our horses, I would go out in the field and I would cut off pieces of the mineral block that we give the horses so they would get all their trace minerals. Because you know what it was? Sea salt and some other stuff. It wasn't humics and fulvics, it's sea salt, because that's what we're made from. Now, granted, you can throw a really good story and try to sell a bunch of products to a bunch of people that are trying to make money. So I think we got that answered. I've been waiting to rant on that, so thank you. Any quick questions? Because I got a couple minutes, because I got another call in 7 minutes to do. But is there quick questions or comments? Bye, Nicola. No one.
No question today for me, Clayton.
What? You still got the last word in, but
I had to.
perfect. And that is why we love you. Thank you. Oh, so Sandy just asked the question of the day with graphene. So if you're following stuff on social media and in the news, everyone's talking about graphene and graphene oxide and how it's in the vaccines. It's a toxic metal that it's in a bunch of the vaccines, and it's neurotoxic and causes a bunch of symptoms that you might be able to diagnose as COVID. Whoops.
Es Clayton, послушам.
So here's the thing that I will encourage you all to do. So I'm not a doctor, right? I'm not a research scientist. I'm not a PhD. I do the same thing everyone else does. So here's your test. If you want to have the graphene conversation, first off, we remove it. So it's not a concern. You want to know why? Do a search on Google or on PubMed for graphene and clinoptilolite and look at how they've been combining clinoptilolite and graphene for like 30 years. Clinoptilolite binds and holds graphene really tightly, kind of like mercury. So if you're worried about that, or if you have people that are talking about graphene, go, yeah, we already have the solution. Because where are they putting graphene now? They're injecting it into your body and into your bloodstream. Where do we get clean slate? Into your body and into your bloodstream. Not in your gut, but systemically. Case closed. We win. Thanks for playing. Have a great day. We don't need to talk about issues. We only talk about what we can do, right? That's just it. You want to be healthy, happy, and feel amazing and get younger every day? Great. Let's worry about that. We don't need to worry about everything else going on in the world because we take care of the problems. I can't drop my mic. It's over here. It's on a stand. So can't drop the mic, but that's the mic drop. So there isn't much that we're going to be faced with, you know, with all of this chaos. Oops, I'm trying to get my light bulb to float. But we're already in the position to take care of what people need. This is the best example. People start talking about graphene and how bad it is. You can just tell people, yeah, we already have that solution. It's already done. Do you want the Trinity now? Because now you're hearing more things going on. Simple solutions.
Clayton?
Who's that? Is that Kathy Jo?
It is me.
Talk to me. You got 2 minutes and then I got to bounce.
Okay, is there a preference to use the products with an 80-year-old COPD person who has COVID?
Is there
do you
a
do
preference?
it just start out the same slow way, or is it best to try to hit it harder?
I would use, if I was doing that, I would actually rub a little bit of Restore on their chest and then a little bit on their sinuses, and then clean slate. Just do the same thing. Start with a drop in the morning, a drop at night, and titrate it up because you don't want to push them too quickly.
Right.
But yeah, I'd actually rub a little bit on their chest and see what happens. That'd be kind of cool. And we've already had enough data on, you know, cardiovascular and unbreathing stuff to know what'll happen. You just got to give them the chance to do it. So
perfect. Thank you.
And that is how we're going to end the day. So hopefully this was informative, but remember, we don't have conversations to diagnose, treat, cure anything because one, they don't matter. And two, this is just all for educational and entertainment purposes. Because we're in the entertainment business. We just make happy, healthy, amazing people while we're doing it. So, as my friend said, konnichiwa. See you guys in a little bit. Hopefully we had fun. Tomorrow's going to be a blast. We'll make the invite for guys club and girls club tomorrow. I think that's the plan. So I got to send out the email today. So we'll do that. Bye, y'all.
Peace out. Thank you.